Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special SWW show interview. I'm here with Nick from Strafe Studios, who has got
Hello.
Nebula Within releasing sometime in October.
October 20th.
20th,
Hi.
all right.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's still not. I just have the Steam page up and to look at some of the screens, and it just says October right now. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm really digging the art style for sure. That's a kind of harkening back to kind of one of my secret favorite games of the Xbox 360 with like Geometry Wars and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Thanks for complimenting the art style. I definitely like twin stick shooters like that, and I wanted to make sure that what I was making didn't have like an overabundance of visual noise, because I feel like with a lot of these types of games, it just becomes like total chaos, and there is an appeal to that. But a lot of times for me, I just get turned off because I'm like, what? I got hit by something and I didn't know why. So I wanted to make sure from the beginning that it looked nice, but it was also just clean, simple, and easy to follow.
Yeah, it's a I don't know, just the kind of that old school neon look to me is almost, as you say, like easier to read than, like, I'm not a huge fan of twin stick shooters, but
Mhm.
kind of these ones that are stripped down basic looks are ones that I seem to enjoy a little bit more because I can figure out, okay, this is what a projectile looks like. There's no real, like, you have a minimalist background, so it's not like getting lost in the background. You're like, okay, this is what it looks like, this is what I need to look out for, versus a game that has kind of a busy overall look, and then you kind of get lost in the sauce trying to find stuff.
Yeah, it's also a reality of being a solo dev as well. You know, it's like I have to pick my battles. And if I can make a game that I think looks good while keeping things minimal, then I'll do that, because then that frees me up to do other stuff with my time. Um, so it's kind of part necessity, part design choice for that. But glad you appreciate it for sure.
Well, you're sometimes the necessity creates the best. I mean, thinking of like what was it, Invisible Ink? They just wanted to do two colors, white and
Hmm.
black, and that's better for it. Geometry Wars is better for its design. Nebula Within is potentially better because of its minimalist design.
That's what that's what I'm hoping for. And being by myself also, I feel like, allows me to put in a little bit more of my own uh, like style in there too. Like the subject matter of Nebula Within is all about kind of confronting and exploring a lot of these thoughts that we tell ourselves. You know, like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, whatever. Um, and I started developing it pretty low point in my life. I was unemployed for quite a while and was having a hard time kind of, you know, aligning what I thought I would be doing with what I was actually doing, which was not supporting myself or my family. And so that's contributed hugely to what I think is the unique thing about the game as well, which is this like direction, that this is the atmosphere, this is the vibe, this is the kind of feeling that you get when you play the game, as opposed to just like, oh, it's a bullet hell, I'm just gonna go shoot everything that moves.
Yeah, it's funny. I got a chance to mess around with the game a little bit, and your little injections of the quotes and things like that almost feel like when Superhot first came out, like
Mm,
how they dealt with, like, they know, and they know, you're playing a game, so they are going to
yeah,
exploit that and be like, this is not reality, like, and basically talk to the player directly, like almost not even breaking the fourth wall, because the fourth wall just never existed.
Yeah, I was thinking about while I was making it, there's a lot of games that take place in a first person perspective where you are the character that's in there. And there's a lot of games that take place in a third person perspective wherein you kind of have clear view of some other avatar that you are controlling. But there are very few games that take place in this like second person perspective, where sorry, buzzing all around. Take place in in a second person perspective, wherein it's like you as like a human being yourself is actually the one that is kind of playing the game and part of that feedback loop. And so I was interested in exploring what that might look like. So that's why a lot of the messages and stuff are addressed directly to like you as the person playing the game, because I want you to feel like it's actually about you, not about like some ship that you're controlling or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the I of first and it's not the they of third.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always like people that can understand how to address second person. It's actually pretty cool to see because it never happens. You never see of like it's always from a perspective. It's not just like it's the perspective of either you if it's a first person game as you said, or you the player, or somebody else. It's a third person game instead of like this weird yeah. It's just fun to see when people it's fun to see when people do it, because whether they succeed or fail, and I'm not saying you failed, you actually did pretty well with it. It's just a breath of fresh air. It's different, it's fun, it needs to be celebrated.
Thanks. I'm glad you think so. It definitely is a challenge because there's a lot when you have more precedence for stuff. Like we have a lot of first-person games, we have a lot of third-person games. The kind of mental model of what a player expects when they go in is a lot clearer. Also, as a designer, developer, when you're making the game, there's a lot of other examples to look at. But when you're doing something kind of like this, it's like you're trading into some weird, funky territory, and it could work and it could not work. And at the same time, like I have no idea what your experiences are as a human being. Like they are totally separate from mine, and everybody is going to have something totally different. And if I at some point betray that respect and assume that you have done anything or are a certain way at all, then it kind of breaks that illusion. So I had to be really careful in shaping the game to make sure that anything that was said or done could be as applicable to as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's the fine line anymore, right? Like you try to, especially with a small team, and obviously you're the smallest team you can get with only being one. The smaller a team is, it seems to like there's obviously fewer perspectives, so games can kind of steer one way or the other, whereas yeah, it seems to be yours is very much as close as it can be, treading the very fine line of going straight down the middle instead of veering off.
Yeah, and when I was making Nebula Within, just like anybody working on any project, I wanted to I was constantly doubting myself and comparing myself to other works, which I like I'm never going to be able to achieve that. But reminding myself that hey, anything is good, and even when you don't have anything, that can still sometimes be good, and that's totally okay. I think it allowed me to make Nebula Within in an environment that I didn't feel pressured to be a certain way or do a certain thing. Whereas I'll definitely feel that pressure if I'm working on a game for somebody else or with a bigger team that's kind of relying on each other in that sort of way.
Well, I guess the ultimate nice part about working for yourself is you no longer, or you don't have like a boss or shareholders or things like that you're like, man, okay, how are they gonna react? And just be like,
Yeah.
this is my work. Like, it's nice to see, kind of these smaller video game projects come out that are becoming like these, not necessarily think pieces, but art, like true art pieces. Um, I mean, because you see it in, we go old media art, you see it in paintings and sculptures and things like that. Of it's the artist's rendition of whatever, and now we're seeing video games become just another medium of that, and um, it's certainly an exciting time where we're at with this deluge of smaller or single person studios that are making these think pieces, art pieces, much like, well, you may not think it, you personally, Nick, may not think this is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about Nebula Within, but it is kind of a art think piece. Like, it's your approach, as you say, to what it is, and certainly looking forward to the success that comes out of it, because it was, even the just little bit that I was linking around with it, it was fun. It's not necessarily that, you do have to pay attention, but it's but it's also not like, it's not hard for hard's sake. It's not, one of these games that's like, oh, we're gonna become famous for being the game that nobody beats.
Right, right. And like I think it's I'm not deluded into thinking that the game is kind of like this like super complicated thing with all these layers and levels, and at the same time it's also not like the intensely smoothed and polished experience where you literally just have one thing that you're worried about. Definitely falls somewhere in the middle. And I was always thinking like, oh man, I want to make sure this thing is good, and I want to hit all these points. I want to make it feel awesome, and it's got to be the best at every single thing along the way. But ultimately, I realized, I'm not going to be able to make the best, twin stick shooter, purely mechanically speaking, ever. I'm not going to be able to make the best, purely narratively speaking, narrative experience ever. I'm not going to be able to, if I isolate every single one of these different components, make like the perfect example of what, games as a medium can be for each of these things. But instead, I could probably be the best hybrid of these things, the best like unique combination of all the stuff that I care about in this game. And that's what I'm hoping it can be. And based on the feedback that I've received so far, I think it's doing that. So, I'm kind of happy so far.
It's funny as you talk about like your thought process behind the game, like the carousel of the screenshots on Steam is rolling through, and one of them is the mantra book, and the one page is, do not compare yourself to others, and you are not inadequate. And like, it's funny to hear you talk about like that thought process, which is, it's in the game, like it's a game talking about, it's interesting because it's confronting topics that don't necessarily get talked about. It's self, I want to say self-infliction, but that's not the right word. But you're like looking in on yourself and like kind of coming to terms with, right, like, just stop especially now with social media and the internet everywhere, you don't have to, you don't have to compare yourself to the Instagram models. You don't have to,
Yeah.
you don't have to be the funniest guy on Twitter because there's somebody making that their whole timeline is jokes. You don't have to be I don't even know what the best dancer on TikTok. I still don't know what that service is, but
it's definitely a conversation. Like, what I'm hoping is Oh man, Greg Gardner has just decided to mow the lawn. So
It's all good. It's not that loud.
actually, I'm coming to you live from my closet, so I'm gonna close my closet door / office. There we go.
This might be the first time we've had an interview from the closet. Mike used to do episodes from the closet. This might be the first interview where the person being interviewed is coming from a closet. As far as I know, about 90% of the people don't mention where they're coming live from, but
yeah, it's working for me so far. But yeah, I was gonna say it's like a dialogue between me and myself, and then I'm hoping a dialogue also between players and themselves, and then players and me and players in the game. And I think that's the advantage of taking the second person perspective thing. So I've shared it with as many people as I could possibly share it with. Hopefully once it releases live, people will be able to leave feedback, and I'll be able to kind of hear and listen at what stages in people's lives they were able to play the game at, and what that dialogue that I just talked about actually was for them. Because there's no way, anybody can predict what that'll be for everyone. So that's the nice thing about putting something like this out there.
Yeah, and as you say, you've been trying to get it to as many people as you can, and you were gracious to give us 3 extra keys. So we will be giving those out when the episode goes up.
Awesome.
For people to check it out. And I'm not sure if this is something that you're already looking at, but have you looked into the, or if you can even do it, the Steam, what do they call those? Like the co-op bundles? Where you end up buying like 4 copies of the game.
Mm-hmm. I've reached out to a couple curators that curate this kind of thing, but it's a local co-op game.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted to be sensitive to playing locally with people, because those are the kinds of experiences that I valued a lot in my life. And when one person owns the game, that doesn't mean that 8 other people also need to own the game. So right. You could say that I'm taking a hit for that from a business perspective. And I know a lot of publishers are reluctant to invest in local co-op games for precisely that reason. They're fun, but they don't sell as much just simply by the way they're designed. But I was less interested in how much money can I totally squeeze out of this project, and I instead was just more interested in can I make a game that I would actually love to play and would love to play with my friends, and could get a lot of meaning out of. And those have consistently been games that I can play right next to people. And so that's why I made it local co-op for this. And the nice thing is also, even if one person in your Steam library has it, you can do the Steam remote play, and it works out pretty decently. So even if you want to play online, you can do that too. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so you've got that to look forward to, listeners. So yeah, Nick, thank you very much for taking time out of your lunch hour and huddling up in a closet to come on and talk about Nebula Within.
For sure. Thank you so much, everybody that's listening. It's on Steam, and there's free demo out now, so you can play the demo, and it'll be out officially on October 20th. Just take a look, and if you're super interested in the game and for any reason you can't pay for the game or whatever, I'll try to do everything in my power to get it to you, because I don't want that to be a barrier or an obstacle. I'm just trying to make something fun and helpful and exciting for people. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you in the podcast, everybody listening, and to everybody that's going to take a look at the game.
This episode is partially brought to you by the Humble Choice Program. Did you know Humble Bundle has a great monthly subscription service that lets you get a ton of video games every single month? That's right, from plans range from $5 to $20 a month, you get a hold of a bunch of free games they have available to you. And you could use our code down in the description below to go and sign up. It would help our podcast and help you see what great games are available for you this month.
This podcast was a production of the SWW Show. To learn more, go to theswwshow.com. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at the SWW Show. You can follow me at Mikey_Maroney. You can follow AJ at LowSeatBoy. Remember, new episodes premiere on Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time on anchor.fm/SWW and podcast services around the globe.